Quick question for you. If someone walks up to you and asks, "How was your day?" Do you respond with a perfectly constructed, slightly robotic sentence like, "My day was good, I completed my work and returned home"?
I mean, to be fair, that is technically correct English. If you wrote that on a written exam, you would probably get a perfect score.
Right.
But in the real world, it really doesn't sound very natural.
It totally sounds like a textbook came to life.
Yeah.
And that is exactly why we are here today. Welcome to Practice English Studio. This is the episode where you learn real English for real conversations.
Exactly.
In my own experience studying other languages, this is always the biggest challenge. You learn all these complex grammar rules in a classroom, but then you walk out onto the street and, nobody is actually speaking that way. It can be incredibly frustrating.
I completely understand that feeling. The mission for today's episode is incredibly practical to help you bridge that gap. 15 phrases native speakers use every day.
Yes, I love this list.
We're going to explore why native speakers rarely speak in long, formal paragraphs when they are, say, at the grocery store, or chatting by the coffee machine at work, or just texting a friend.
Right. Most of the time, people just don't speak in long, complicated sentences. They use short, quick phrases that communicate the idea instantly. And by the end of this episode, you won't just understand what these 15 casual phrases mean, you'll understand exactly how to use them to make your own everyday conversations feel relaxed, natural, and authentic.
The really interesting part about this is the social connection. When you use short, everyday phrases, you aren't just saving time. You are showing the other person that you are comfortable with them. You are speaking the casual language of friendship and daily life.
Well, let's get right into it. We've broken these 15 phrases down into a few different categories. For our first segment, we are focusing on the agreeing and understanding phrases.
These are crucial.
They really are. These are the short responses you use to show someone you are listening and to keep a conversation moving forward. Let's start with phrase number 1, sounds good. The basic meaning here is simply, that's a good idea, or I agree.
Exactly. Think about how often you make simple plans during the day. If I say to you, let's meet at 7, you could say, yes, I agree to that meeting time.
But nobody says that.
Right, nobody says that because it sounds incredibly stiff. It slows the whole conversation down. Instead, you just say, sounds good.
It is so much faster. If I text a friend and say, hey, let's get pizza for dinner, and they reply, sounds good, the plan is instantly made. There is no need for a long explanation.
Yeah, it keeps the momentum going.
And that brings us to a phrase that's very similar. Phrase number 2, that works.
That works is almost the exact same thing as sounds good. It is another way of saying you agree to a proposed plan, usually when it comes to scheduling time or picking a location. If someone says, let's meet tomorrow morning, a very natural response is just, that works.
I use this one all the time at my job. If a coworker wants to have a meeting and suggests Tuesday at 2 p.m., I just check my calendar, see that I am free, and say, that works.
It's just so effortless.
It is. It shows that their idea fits perfectly into my schedule without me having to over-explain my whole week to them.
It's very efficient. Now, let's look at phrase number 3. That makes sense. This means I understand your explanation. But I think there's a lot more emotion attached to this one. It's not just about understanding facts, it's about understanding feelings.
I totally agree. Imagine your friend is having a really bad day. They come to you and say, the traffic was really bad this morning and it made me late, so now I feel stressed out.
Oh, traffic is the worst.
Right. But if you just reply to them, I comprehend your situation, you sound like you don't care at all.
Yes, that would be a terrible response. But if you look at them and say, that makes sense, you are telling them that you are actively listening. You are saying that their frustration is completely normal and logical. It makes the other person feel heard and supported instantly.
It's a great way to show empathy. Similar to that is phrase number 4, I get it. The literal meaning is, I understand.
Let's think about a situation at work. Your manager comes to your desk and says, so the project deadline changed from Friday to Wednesday. A very natural, quick response is, oh, I get it.
This phrase always feels like a little light bulb turning on in my head. It's often used when a piece of confusing information suddenly becomes clear, or when you realize why someone did something.
Like an aha moment.
Exactly. Like, if I didn't understand why you were drinking so much coffee, and then you tell me you only slept 3 hours last night, I would say, I get it.
It has that nice casual click of realization. Now, for phrase number 5, good point. This is the phrase you use to acknowledge that someone just made a really smart observation or had a great idea.
For example, if we were planning a road trip and I say, we should leave earlier to avoid traffic, you can respond with, good point.
I love using this phrase in a team environment. Instead of saying, your suggestion is logically correct, which sounds very cold, saying, good point is a small compliment. It tells the other person that you value their brain and their contribution.
It definitely builds good energy.
Yeah.
All right, the last phrase in our agreeing segment is phrase number 6, fair enough. This means your point is reasonable.
Yeah.
But wait, does saying fair enough ever sound a little bit negative? Like you don't actually agree with the person?
That is a really great question, because this phrase does have some special nuance to it. Fair enough isn't exactly a super excited agreement, it's more like a compromise.
How so?
Let's say we have plans to go to the movies tonight, but
Yeah.
you call me and say, I'm leaving work early today because I'm just too tired to go out.
Right, in that situation, you might be a little disappointed because you wanted to see the movie. You aren't happy that I am canceling our plans.
Exactly. I'm disappointed, but I understand that you need to rest. I don't want to start an argument, so I just say, fair enough. It means I might not love this, but I recognize your reason is logical, and I accept it. It is a really polite way to accept a situation without causing drama.
I like that. It keeps the peace. And this brings us perfectly into our second segment, handling mistakes and being polite. When you're learning English, making mistakes or dealing with awkward situations can be really scary. You want to be polite, but you don't want to make things weird by using overly dramatic words.
And native speakers rely on a few very specific short phrases to fix those awkward moments quickly. Let's start with phrase number 7, no worries.
Think about a very common situation. Let's say we're meeting for lunch and I arrive 5 minutes late. I walk in and say, sorry, I'm late.
And I would just smile and say, no worries.
Let's talk about why we use that instead of something formal. In my experience, if I say, sorry, I'm late, and my friend looks at me very seriously and says, I forgive you, that actually makes me feel worse.
Yes, because saying I forgive you sounds like you committed a terrible crime. It sounds like a line from an old dramatic movie. It makes a tiny mistake feel huge.
But saying no worries instantly takes the pressure away. It takes the small mistake being 5 minutes late and shrinks it down to 0. It tells the person, this didn't ruin my day. Please stop feeling guilty.
It just deletes the awkwardness. Very similar to that is phrase number 8, no problem.
You hear this one everywhere. If I drop my pen and you pick it up for me, I say, thanks for helping me. And you just reply, no problem.
It's just a casual, friendly response to someone thanking you. It tells the other person that the help you gave them was easy and not a burden at all. Now let's look at phrase number 9, which flips the situation around.
That's a good one.
This is the phrase for when you're the one who makes the small mistake. The phrase is, my bad. So simply, it was my mistake.
So if I am working with you on computer presentation and you look at the screen that say, hey, you sent the wrong file, I can just say, oh, my bad.
I want to focus on why this phrase is so useful. I think a lot of English learners are taught to apologize very deeply for everything. But if you make a tiny error, like sending the wrong file or accidentally bumping into someone's chair or forgetting to bring a pencil, giving a massive long apology, actually makes the situation uncomfortable for everyone else.
I used to do this. If I bumped into someone's desk, I would say, I am so incredibly sorry. I feel terrible. Please excuse me. And then the other person has to stop what they are doing and comfort me, saying, oh, no, really, it's fine. Don't worry. I basically made my tiny mistake into a big emotional event.
That is the perfect example. Saying my bad solves that problem entirely. It acknowledges the error, it takes full responsibility, but it keeps the mood light. It basically says, oops, my fault, let's just move on. It is an essential phrase for casual friendships and everyday office life.
That is a huge tip for sounding more natural. Moving on to segment 3, we are diving into navigating uncertainty and buying time. If you are listening to this episode right now, pay close attention. These next 6 phrases are incredibly helpful when you feel put on the spot.
I think one of the most stressful parts of speaking another language is when someone asks you a question and your mind just goes totally blank. You don't have an immediate answer, and you feel pressure to say something perfect right away.
Yes, the panic sets in, but instead of freezing and staring at them in silence, you can use these short phrases to comfortably buy yourself time or to politely admit that you just don't know the answer. Let's start with phrase number 10. I guess so. Means
Yeah.
probably or I think so.
Imagine someone looks out the window at some dark clouds and asks, "Do you think it will rain today?" A very natural response is, "I guess so."
Notice how there is a little bit of hesitation built into that phrase. You aren't promising that it will rain. You are just saying that based on the dark clouds, yes, probably, but you aren't 100% sure.
It's a great soft answer. Next is phrase number 11, which is a fantastic conversation tool. It depends. This means the answer changes based on the situation.
For example, if someone asks you a big question like, do you like working from home? You might not have a simple yes or no answer. So you say, it depends.
This happens in real conversations all the time. Sometimes life is complicated. If someone asks if you like working from home, maybe you love it on sunny days but hate it when your internet is slow. By saying it depends, you show that the topic has different layers.
It invites more discussion.
Exactly. And usually the other person will ask a follow-up question like, "Oh, what does it depend on?" It naturally keeps the conversation going.
And it buys you a few seconds to organize your thoughts. All right, phrase number 12 is for when you genuinely have no idea what the answer is. I'm not sure.
If a coworker walks up and asks, "What time does the meeting start?" and you haven't checked your email, you just say, "I'm not sure."
Admitting that you don't know something can feel embarrassing, but I'm not sure is much softer and friendlier than a blunt talk. I don't know. Saying I don't know can sometimes sound a little angry or dismissive, like you want the person to go away. I'm not sure. It just means you personally don't have the information right now.
Which leads us perfectly to phrase 13, which is the action-oriented version of uncertainty. I'll check. People say this when they don't know the answer, but they are willing to find out.
So if I am in the kitchen and you shout from the other room, do we have any milk? I can shout back, I'll check, and then I open the fridge to look.
See, the difference there, "I'm not sure" leaves the problem unsolved, but "I'll check" means you are going to take action to find the solution. It's an incredibly helpful phrase to use with your boss at work or when living with family.
Absolutely. Okay, phrase number 14, give me a second. This simply means wait a moment.
If you are busy doing something and a friend asks, "Can you help me with this?" you can respond with, "Sure, give me a second."
I use this constantly. If I am in the middle of typing a long text message on my phone and my roommate starts asking me a question about the electricity bill,
Hmm.
I just say, give me a second. It lets me finish my sentence without being rude to them. You're just asking them to wait a few small moments.
It is a great way to manage your focus politely. And finally, for this segment, phrase number 15, not really. This means no, not much.
Think about a time you watched a very popular movie, but you personally thought it was really boring. Your friend asks you, did you enjoy the movie?
If you just say a flat, harsh no, it can sometimes sound overly negative or kill the fun vibe of the conversation. But if you smile slightly and say, "Not really," it softens the blow. It's a very gentle way of expressing a negative opinion.
Exactly. It leaves room for a friendly debate. The other person can then ask, oh, why not? What didn't you like about it?
Mm.
It's so much more inviting than just shutting them down with a hard no. So what does this all sound like when we put it together in real life? That brings us to our final segment, bringing it all together. Let's actually see what happens when we put these together in a normal, everyday rhythm. As you listen, I want you to pay attention to how fast the conversation moves and how easy the connection is without any long, formal textbook sentences. Ready?
Let's do it.
Hey, are you free tomorrow?
I'm not sure. I'll check.
Maybe we can meet for coffee.
Sounds good.
Actually, maybe later in the afternoon.
Yeah, it works.
And that's it.
Ah.
Let's break down how natural and efficient that felt.
There were absolutely no long explanations. When you asked if I was free, I didn't say, "I currently do not know my schedule, but I will look at my calendar app and inform you shortly." That would be exhausting. I just used two of our short phrases stacked together. I'm not sure. I'll check.
And when I proposed getting coffee, you didn't need to formally accept my invitation with a full sentence. A simple sounds good was all the confirmation I needed to know you liked the idea. Even when I changed my mind and moved the plan to the afternoon, your response of that works handled the change flawlessly.
The interaction feels effortless. The awkwardness is gone. That is the magic of these 15 phrases. Short phrases equal relaxed, confident communication.
Let's do some interactive practice right now. I want you, the listener, to participate wherever you are. I'm going to say a phrase, and I want you to think of the correct short response we learned today. Ready? Imagine you are waiting for a friend at a cafe. They walk in looking stressed and say to you, "Sorry, I'm late." What could you say to make them feel better?
Give it a thought.
You could say, "No worries."
That is exactly right. You instantly take away their guilt and move the interaction forward in a positive way.
Let's try one more. Your coworker sends you a message that says, "Let's meet tomorrow morning to discuss the project." What is a natural two-word response to show that it fits your schedule?
Do you have it?
You could say, "That works."
Perfect. Today, we have deeply explored 15 everyday phrases used by native speakers. From sounds good to my bad to it depends. We've seen how these small, seemingly simple words are actually very powerful tools that help you navigate conversations at work, with friends, and in your daily routine.
They truly are the secret to sounding natural and feeling comfortable in English. Now, we have a challenge for you. We want you to try using just one of these phrases today in your own life. Out of the 15 we discussed, which of these phrases was totally new for you?
When you learn something new, the best way to remember it is to use it right away. Taking that small step to practice will lock it into your memory forever.
Absolutely. We want you to write that new phrase in the comments below and try using it in a full sentence. Let's see how creative you can get. And of course, if you want to keep improving your everyday English and uncovering these real-world conversational secrets, make sure you subscribe to Practice English Studio.
Before we end the episode, I want to leave you with a final thought to think about on your own. It's an exercise in changing your perspective about language learning.
Ooh, I love a good perspective shift.
Think about your own native language for a moment. When you are hanging out and talking to your best friend or your siblings, do you use grammatically perfect, full paragraph, formal textbook sentences? Or do you rely on your own unique set of quick, casual slang and short phrases?
I know I definitely use shortcuts in my native language.
Mhm.
Half the time, my friends and I communicate in single words or half sentences, and we understand each other perfectly.
Exactly. So if you naturally take shortcuts in your own native language because it makes you feel relaxed and connected, why do you put so much pressure on yourself to sound like a rigid, perfect textbook when you speak English?
Wow, that is such a wonderful point. We hold ourselves to this impossible academic standard when we learn a second language, but even native speakers don't speak that way in real life.
Precisely. You have to embrace the shortcuts. The goal of a daily conversation isn't to be perfectly grammatical, the goal is connection. And using these 15 casual phrases is your bridge to making that authentic connection.
That is the perfect note to end on. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Practice English Studio. Keep practicing, keep experimenting with these phrases. Don't be afraid to make mistakes, and we will catch you in the next conversation.